Educating students in rural settings is an important part of public education in America. More than half of all school districts and a third of all public schools are in rural areas. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, over 12 million students attend a rural public elementary or secondary school, accounting for 25% of all public school students. Unrecognized by most Americans and often overshadowed by the nation's attention to dropout challenges in urban settings, more than one-fifth of public schools in rural America have higher than average dropout rates. Because of their remote locations and more limited resources, schools in rural communities often have less access to high-quality technical assistance than schools in other communities. For this reason, the U.S. Department of Education's High School Graduation Initiative program provided dropout prevention support and technical assistance to grantees and districts across the country. This video highlights dropout prevention efforts in rural districts and schools in West Virginia. West Virginia's Department of Education's mission is one voice, one focus, all students achieving. The core value behind this plan is that all children can and will learn. Through both traditional and after-school programming, and with the assistance of the state's legislature's innovation zones, community engagement is encouraged, positive adult-student relationships are developed, and personalized learning is a top priority in the goal of all students graduating either college or career ready.
When I began my tenure as State Superintendent, I came in with a vision plan, one voice, one focus, all students achieving, wanting to make certain that what we do in West Virginia, everybody is coalescing around the same ideas, that there's a real focus in terms of what really matters for our young people. And leading with the metric of improving the graduation rate. I'm a firm believer that the graduation rate is the single number that really defines educational quality right now in the 21st century, because from there you can unpack everything else from it as far as program development and interventions. We have several initiatives that are going on within our state. Graduation 2020, where we're focusing in with our special education students to ensuring that every child has that opportunity to succeed and making certain that they're seeing themselves in the future and fulfilling their goals and dreams. Making certain at the local level that we're starting early on with early interventions. I'm all about front loading and making certain that we have early interventions such as our pre-K opportunities. We have a very, very robust pre-K program in West Virginia. And we want to make certain we're expanding that because we firmly believe that those rich skills are important in terms of the outcomes at the end as far as graduation. And then making certain we're scaffolding that whole vertical articulated experience for a young person from basically birth through the 12th grade process, that there's opportunities for them to succeed. How do we respond when a child isn't performing at the highest levels? How do we respond when a child is failing? So what do we do? And so those are the questions that are occurring in West Virginia right now, ensuring that every child graduates, that an intervention plan is developed for each child so that they can succeed and see themselves in the future. And ultimately, our state is going to be all the better for that. Career development starts early. It starts early in terms of gauging what young people's interests are and matching them with a program that meets their interests. Kind of like the whole aspect that I view with adults. If you find a job you love, you never work again. So programming in that sense the same way for our young people early on, making certain that there are interests there, aligning those interests with their career possibilities in the future. Then what we provide in all of our high school are CTE offerings in the high schools where individuals can provide that. What we have right now is what's called simulated workplace. It is a phenomenal program. And by our legislative process this school year, every one of our high schools will be expected to have a simulated workplace in all of their high schools so that young people are actually immersing themselves into real life, hands-on experiences that replicate a career or an interest that they may have in the future.
There's a lot of opportunities that can help you accomplish any goal you have, really. I mean, there's so many different classes you can take. There's auto body if you want to become a mechanic. There's carpentry. There's several music classes. there's just so many classes you can take.
Greenbrier County is not unlike other areas of southern West Virginia. The western part of our county was largely economically supported by the mining industry, and that has dwindled quite a bit. So there are segments of our county that really are without economy. They're without a strong business structure. They're without a strong platform for young people to see a professional aspect to life. And so to bring them into programs like this is really to open up their world.
In 2009, West Virginia passed significant legislation to reduce dropout rates in the state. Through a granting process, schools and other organizations are designated school innovation zones and given the funds and flexibility to pilot new exciting and engaging strategies to enhance student success.
Through the Innovation Zone grant, for the last 2 years, we've been able to provide an after-school program for academic and social and emotional type areas for our at-risk students. So that's been the biggest part of it. We provided a computer lab at the high school for students who were enrolled in the options program. We've been able to provide monies for college campus visits for students who had never stepped foot on a college campus, so they had no idea what college life was like, hoping that that would give them an incentive to say, yes, this is something that I want to do, but I have to have that diploma in hand prior to getting here.
I think when we started with the Dropout Innovation Zone, that was a piece that allowed us to really show people the importance of the community partnerships. You know, dropout prevention is not just about the school. The businesses and the communities need to get engaged and be a part of that work. And we've formed some great partnerships. And it's also allowed us to work with the schools and let them think about thinking outside the box and how can they better engage their students and what are some things that are available that will keep their students in school. So we've been able to do a lot around student engagement and project-based learning and some things like that through that Innovation Zone money that has really, we've really been able to reach a different group of students.
As part of the Innovation Zone grant after-school programs, not only do students benefit from offerings such as theater, welding, culinary arts, and computer technology, but educators are also offered new training opportunities to enable them to instruct and coordinate these programs.
I feel like that the training gave us the tools to give them, I don't know, it kind of was a connection to school, and we used some goal setting activities with them, and it helped them think about what they want to do short term and in the future. And we did some confidence building activities, hopefully help them see that they have the capability and the potential and the worth, and that made them enjoy actually learning.
From the training itself, it took me back to being a student. That after you've been an adult for so long and you've taught for so long, you forget what it's like being that child in that seat, one of 25 in a classroom, one of 150 in a grade level. And it's scary being one in a group.
Through the theater, I have a new self-confidence for myself. I'm able to be myself. I'm not afraid to just stand up and make everyone laugh or just say my opinion to everyone. I'm just glad that I have the ability to do whatever I want and be whoever I want.
It's really important to me because it gives me something to do, and because I go home and I sit on my butt, that's all I do. And so I come to the after school program and I can express myself through theater and art. I grow in character, I guess I could say, with theater, and confidence, and performing live. It's fun because if you mess up, no one's going to know because it's theater. You're going to improvise.
We worked on this after school a lot last year and this year. We built this stage. We could do outdoor performances or just anything out here. We built benches and tables and chairs. We're, like Miss Neal said, we're hoping to start having lunch out here, and we built these picnic tables so that way we could have lunch out here, and we're building those in the shop class. And I'd like to become a carpenter maybe. That's always a fallback plan, and the shop class really helps me in the after school to learn and grow my abilities.
My dream is really to pursue my welding career, and the career here at Greenboro West has really helped me. Well, I've learned a lot. With my first day here, I really didn't know much at all about welding, and then Stevie Tincher's really helped us. I mean, he's taught us everything we know.
Miss Leaf, which is the science teacher, she come down and asked us if we'd build a few of these things for out here in the courtyard by Mrs. Amy Robertson. She'd asked us if we could make some stuff. So Miss Leaf come up to us, and we'd had Steve Tincher order the materials, and we'd cut them out as we designed them. And we brought them down here and painted them and stuck them in the courtyard for her.
Daryl Clemens, one of the IT specialists for the county, actually offered me this. He knows that I love technology. I've always been a computer nerd, and one day he came up to me just out in the hallway and asked me if I wanted to learn how to use the sound system, and I took him up on it. He brought me in here and showed me all the new equipment. At the beginning of my freshman year, this was just an empty room. There was nothing in it, just a window. Well, now, since then, we've got just about everything we can have. We did it with the Cavalier Arts program. It's an after-school program. The year that I did it was a music theater kind of group. Mm-hmm. So he had me back here while students were singing. I was adjusting the volume for them, and we had Nashville Departure, a local band, come in, and they performed, and I was back here running the sound for them. And it was just a great experience. They taught me a lot. Mr. Clemens had taught me just about everything I needed to know.
There are no two students that are the same. So you have to take the time to get to know the student and to know specifically what they need to work on in order to be successful. It's been well documented that outside barriers prevent success inside the classroom. We cannot treat academic troubles as as if it's a solo problem. It's a product of other things going on in their life, and we're just here to try and help them resolve those barriers, move past them, and be successful. And that's our whole reason for existing. So.
We're very much committed in our state to personalized learning and individualizing those programs that meet the young people's needs, acknowledging that we want young people prepared to go to college, but acknowledging also that not all young people are going to go on to college. And so how do we respond as a state? And we've implemented a very robust career and technical education program as well.
I can see them becoming better critical thinkers, and that's something that's always very important in this day and age, to help students develop into critical thinkers. So through discussions about marketing, they were able to really think about the strategies they needed to use. And if they can learn to think that way, then that's going to help them in their schoolwork and in their life as well. They are doing something that they're creating a product and selling a product. This is something they could do later on in life as well. And I think that, with a program like this and with activities like this, once they start realizing that, I think that's going to give them some confidence.
I've been to just about all the activities after the after-school tutoring program, and on Mondays they do music and theater or creative writing. I usually do creative writing just because they use computers in there and I'm really good with technology. On Tuesdays, they do shooting in the range. I usually do that too. I'm planning on being on the rifle team. And on Thursdays, it's leadership activities, which is pretty much ROTC. You gotta work as a team to accomplish a certain goal.
Sometimes when you try something so many different times and you're not the best at it, you kind of give up, you kind of disconnect, and we're trying through these lessons to show them that they are, that it's possible for them to be successful, and we want to help them be stronger and more connected to school and engage them in activities and give them the confidence so that when they do get to high school, they are connected. They love, they like school at least, and they want, they want to succeed. And we want to give them a little taste of that success and how it makes them feel. And hopefully that will give them the drive to continue on and do better and do their best.
So when we have parents working together, the legislature working together, the governor's office working together, the superintendents, everybody working together on behalf of children, wonderful things happen for kids. And so that's the main approach to the one voice, one focus, all students achieving a focus. That one voice, we firmly believe all children can and will learn, and we want every child to graduate from high school, college, and career ready in West Virginia. And it's non-compromising. It's just non-compromising, and I'm a firm believer that if it can be done in West Virginia.
But I think if we want kids to stay in school and see the value of a high school education and the value of continuing that education, they have to have a spark for it. They have to stay engaged. It cannot be a one-way relationship, and the after-school programs are certainly not. The children are very hands-on. They have a role in, what activities are done and how they're done, and so they have some ownership, and with ownership comes pride.
So things that we offer include the Options program, which is a program for students that are at risk of dropping out. They have to be a year behind, either they're entering 9th grade cohort or they're entering kindergarten cohort to be eligible for the program. And so there's 3 different phases of it. Option 1, they can complete the task test, which used to be the GED, and complete a vocational cluster, and they get a standard high school diploma, so they get to walk across that stage with their peers. Then there's option 2, if a student has maybe failed English or math, they can take that section of the GED and gain that credit, still get a standard diploma. And then there's option 3, and that's the last resort, and that is for students who just want to take the GED and be on their way. And of course, they don't get a high school diploma for that. We also have increased the dropout age to 18. We have mentors that work directly with our students. We have both community members as well as some school employees that mentor those students. And that connection, it goes back to the old saying, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Monroe County Schools actually created a hard copy of at-risk indicators that we felt would indicate to us if a student might be at risk for dropping out. It was a list of 13 at-risk indicators. That was part of our Dropout Initiative plan. And after us having that hard copy, paper, pen, that teachers completed, and if a student had 4 of those at-risk indicators, we felt like they needed to be matched up with a mentor and delve into helping that student at that particular point in time. The data managers for WVDE came up with an early warning system that was put into place on the WEVIS system, which obviously was a little easier to use because it was computerized, and attendance and behavior issues that had occurred could be uploaded nightly. Course performance, and those are the 3 biggies for at-risk students: attendance, behavior, and course performance. The attendance and the behavior could be uploaded nightly into the system. The course performance was uploaded at the end of a specific school's grading period. So color-coded so that you could see who was at the smallest risk as opposed to who was at the greatest risk. And that system was originally created to help special needs students, but you could use that system and populate every student as well as just the special needs students. Finish line clubs are for those students who were deemed at risk by the list of at-risk indicators. that we felt had the potential for dropping out. So we wanted them to have a connection to the school. And when we originally started that program, we had many community volunteers who helped mentor those students and who helped participate with those students in the Finish Line Club. There were students who were not at risk who wanted to participate in the Finish Line Club. So they became like peer mentors and peer tutors for those students who were in there. So anybody who basically wanted to be in that could be in that. We were just trying to have each student have a connection with the school. When we started this, the year that we started this program and had revamped our Dropout initiative, we had 34 students who had dropped out that year. We have one high school, and 34 students is an exorbitant number for a small rural high school. It's one student dropping out is too many, but 34 out of one graduating class. And I took that personal because that was my daughter's graduating class. And I knew so many of those students, and as I sat there that night at graduation, I'm like, where is this child? Where is this child? And I'm just like, this is not okay. And everybody in the county realized that 34 students dropping out was not okay. So we implemented the policy, and the very next year, we went from 34 students to single digits.
Our goal would be 100% graduation, period. I mean, every child deserves that. And, you know, high school, coming from a high school background, students can't see the light at the end of the tunnel a lot of times, and they don't realize the impact that split-second decision, I'm out of here, I'm going to drop out, is going to have on them for the rest of their lives. You know, statistics and research tell us they're at an increased risk for being incarcerated, for being involved with crime, drugs, all of these things that students don't always know. You know, that decision is putting them in a totally different bracket. So our goal would be 100% graduation, college or career ready.
I feel like there needs to be a focus on those at-risk students. I feel like sometimes that even the best of us do not realize that a student might be at risk until we stop and say, whoa, they're just like the 34 students who dropped out. We're like, whoa, this cannot happen again. You have to have that focus on those students, and those students need to know that someone cares about them.
If you look at the time frame of when we have children from kindergarten to 12th grade, it's hard to believe that they only spend 9% of their time in school. The majority of that time in terms of educating a child is occurring outside of school, in communities and families. And so we recognize that we have to continue to scaffold programs before school, after school, that provide that additional support, meaningful activities for our children to be involved with. Get engaged with your local library. Get engaged at your local school. Even if you don't have children in school, get engaged with the local PTA. And so it's a matter of shifting values, that learning is a lifelong process. It should not be relegated to 180 days. It should be 365 days, 24 hours a day, and that take advantage of the rich resources within the formal network and the informal network, and it's just a matter of tapping into it. We put so much out, but we also have to expect that people are going to engage.